I'm Matthew Hernandez, and welcome to Did You Complete Your Book Report? This is the book we're looking at today, Henry Winkler and Lynn Oliver's Hank Zipzer, The World's Greatest Underachiever, Niagara Falls, or Does It? This is the cover, and this is the inside cover. I really like this artwork, and I like this artwork because it's often found in comic books and that type of thing, so it's good, but when I begin to show you guys some pages on the screen, I do prefer the cover that I had found online for this book. Now, to jump straight to it, this book deals with dyslexia, deals with learning disabilities. I really like that. Now, I'm thinking for a few reasons that maybe I would like to focus on making book reviews for earlier learners, maybe, for YouTube Kids, which I believe is about 12 and younger, and some of those types of books. That could be for a few reasons, but to be perfectly honest amongst them, I mean, my reading level is just fine. I have a degree in English literature, and I've been teaching reading for a long time, but I've never felt that I was a very fast reader. I was diagnosed with ADHD, and maybe I should have been re-diagnosed later on, but oftentimes when I read, after reading a few pages, I'm just easily distracted. And it would be hard for me to keep up with reading something at a greater length. Now, I do believe at work, maybe some students do have a few learning issues and stuff like that, even at my work here in China. And if you feel that you have anything going on like that, whatever it may be, dyslexia or otherwise, let somebody know. Let somebody know and try to get assistance with those things in any reasonable way. I have not even said what the book is about yet. So, Hank Zipzer, which is partially based on Henry Winkler, is a fourth grader. At the beginning of the school year, his teacher, Miss Adolph, asks him to do a report on what they did over the summer, a five paragraph report. Now, I imagine that's a little long for fourth grade, isn't it? I mean, I've always thought it was. Now, he has trouble trying to do this report on what he had done over the summer. He finally thinks of something, and he tries two ways to get out of it. He gives a list to Miss Adolph, and she doesn't go for it. And then he tries to do his own kind of project, which is quite creative, put a lot of thought into it, and he knows a lot about Niagara Falls. But he simply can't sit there and just write on great detail. He just can't really do it. And we kind of learn why. They don't say dyslexia, but I guess I already knew that because I had kind of taught a book with an article by Henry Winkler in it already. So let's get to it. This is a cover that I'd found for the book online, and I do prefer this cover because it does help tell the story a little bit. As we see, Hank Zipzer, his teacher Miss Adolph, and the principal in the room while he's trying to do a project telling his class about his summer. Now he does this project instead of just writing the essay. Here is Henry Winkler. I have not read this book. I just thought it was a neat picture to show. Being Henry, the Fonz, and beyond. Here is a poster from Happy Days. On the right-hand side, we see Henry Winkler. And now I'll show you a quick clip from the show.
Go for it. Courtesy Wolf. Cuttingham, just look at that crow. This has got a lowered back, fuel injection, huh? A super blower, plus dual exhaust, huh? A very, very cool car indeed, Cunningham. I want to tell you that James Dean's father probably owned one just like this.
It's a terrific car, but
Okay, now I first saw this in this book. I hadn't heard about it before. I'm sure you guys don't want to see a textbook right now, I'm guessing, right? Probably. Okay, the story of the world's greatest underachiever by Henry Winkler. And he tells us a little bit about his issues with dyslexia. That's what a lot of this is about. And then later on, he, wrote these books, and he even gives motivational speeches at schools. So on the left-hand side, it says, I studied my spelling words in my apartment in New York City. Somehow, during the time it took me to walk to the block from my apartment to school, the words vanished. So he just had trouble just remembering these words, and he just gives us a pretty detailed account on having trouble remembering. He doesn't know why. He had his stepson tested for dyslexia, but then it turns out Henry Winkler himself had dyslexia. Okay, on one of the pages from the book here, page 20, it says on the left-hand side, my handwriting looks like a chicken stepped in tar and ran across the page. If a chicken stepped in tar, it would get stuck and couldn't run anywhere, Robert pointed out. Shut up, Robert, we all said together. I put my commas in the wrong places, I continued. My capital letters look weird. My lowercase letters look even weirder. My spelling, well, we all know about my spelling. Take a breath, Zip, said Frankie. We'll figure it out. So, we are already getting a little bit of knowledge about his dyslexia. He doesn't know what it's called. I do not believe they use this word in this book. But we can already see this a little bit. I mean, he's trying. He's just, something's not clicking. Here. So he even tried to write 10 reasons, which turned out to be 8 reasons, why he should have to write a 5-paragraph essay. So he's even trying to get out of it. He has trouble writing. So here, reason 1. Every pen I own runs out of ink. 2. My thoughts are controlled by alien beings who make me write in a strange language. 3. We couldn't go anywhere over the summer because my dog had a nervous breakdown. This doesn't work, and she then wants him to be the first one to present on the day of presenting. So, jump ahead a bit, and he's sitting down, he's writing, and he thinks Niagara Falls. I wrote that down. At last, something was coming. My family is in raincoats and boots and rain hats. We had to rent them. Then, on the next side, page 55, it says, I looked down on my paper, I squinted my eyes, and I saw a sentence and a half. That's all that I had written. I looked at my clock radio. I had a 7 o'clock meeting in our clubhouse down in the basement. How was I going to make it? On the next paragraph, it's not like I don't try. I do. I go over and over and over my times tables and vocabulary lists. My sister tests me, and I know everything, but when it comes to the test, I can't remember them. Man, that must be a very brutal feeling. I guess I've felt like that as well, and all that stuff. It can't be easy, and I think Henry Winkler tried to create something of a relatable story for some, and yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, next, we jump ahead a bit. Okay, it says on the left-hand side. So this is from Principal Love. What have we here? He boomed in his tall, bushy hair voice. We put Niagara Falls down on the floor. My summer vacation, I answered. Nick stepped right in front of me. Our assignment is to do a 5-paragraph essay on what we did this summer, said Nick. He gave Principal Love a smile that any sane person would describe as very, very icky. So, this person, Nick, is being a tattletale. And Hank Zipzer has done the best he can, the knowledge he can, to try just to do his assignment. But then he tries to turn it into something of a project. And Nick immediately senses there could be trouble, or that he can get someone in trouble, and he informs the principal. So, as you can imagine from the original cover, if I go back, you can imagine from this original cover what happens from here. And it does create for a very good scene. He's giving a speech, telling everybody what happens, doing a brilliant presentation, then something goes horribly wrong while he's telling his class. Okay. Here. So everything goes awry. Nothing works, it works until it doesn't. He gets detention. He gets grounded at home. But when he has detention with Miss Adolph, there's an accident with her husband. She has to leave. She sends Hank to Mr. Rock. He's there, and Mr. Rock sees that Hank is actually a pretty smart kid. As we see on the left-hand side, ever heard of Hank Aaron? April 8th, 1964, I answered. The day Hammering Hank beat Babe Ruth's home run record. I'm a baseball fan, too, he said. I don't suppose you know what number home run Hank Aaron hit that day. 715. Do you want to know a weird Hank Aaron fact? Sure. So, Mr. Rock here does see that, you know, Hank is a pretty smart kid and whatnot. As we see on the right hand side, Mr. Rock said, "Everyone learns differently." He said, "Your brain is your brain. You just have to figure out the right way to feed it." I gave it a lot of Cocoa Puffs this morning. I said, "How about music?" He laughed. "Do you ever feed it music?" He actually waited for me to answer. "No," I said. Okay, now I'm jumping way ahead. Now I'm jumping way ahead later on. And it says, every child's brain is wired differently. Every brain is wired differently. What was he saying? That my brain was messed up? Oh, that's great. Now everyone will think I'm stupid. What does that mean, wired differently? My mom asked. Different kids learn in different ways, Mr. Rock said. I know that because I myself had difficulty in school. Well, in concluding this book review, I had mostly focused on the themes that I thought were most interesting, or at least those that connected with what I'd read about in the textbook. I skipped some things like how Hank Zipzer and his friends were working on a magic show at the beginning of the story, and then how it reconnects to them doing their magic show at a bowling alley at the end of the story as well. And I mostly just focused on his troubles in trying to complete his class essay. Now, I really did like that moment at the end with Mr. Rock looking after Hank Zipzer by going to his home and trying to speak to his parents for a couple of minutes. When I was younger, I did have quite a few mentor figures in my own life, and hopefully, you have a bit of support like that in such as well. And, if you have any other troubles like that, then I hope that books like this are also quite relatable and stuff. You know, it's always great if some kind of book is just very relatable. And I do wonder if when we read some kind of fantasy book or something like that, it does become a kind of escapism, but it's also great when things have certain themes that we can latch on to and relate to and connect to. And I certainly had found that happening to me a lot in this short book because, as I had said earlier, I do want to start making it be a thing to make these book review videos, but I do feel that if I wanted to make a video a week, it would take quite a bit of practice. I do often feel that when I read, I might be easily distracted or just busy. I mean, I have a wife and two kids and a dog and a job that I really should be getting to soon. And but even at times, and it could just be that some books are just boring, oh my gosh, but I do feel at times that maybe I do feel a little bit distracted, and maybe if I was to try to read several 400-page books a month and try to make a video out on time, maybe that would be a bit more difficult for me, so I am trying to pace myself and gradually get better at this, and this short book, though probably rated for about fourth graders, I got quite a bit out of it myself, and I would very gladly read a few more books in this series if I had the opportunity to, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. And I hope that you enjoyed a few of those excerpts, and maybe you feel like that, or maybe you don't feel that way. But if you have a classmate who just seems unable to focus, have a bit more patience with them and encourage them because maybe that happens to some people. I certainly know that here living in China that there are plenty of students that if I ask them to write, they might not be able to write, or at least in English, if I say, well, why do you like this or that? They say, it is very interesting. What else do you like about it? It is very, very, very interesting. Okay, what else? I like it very much. And, there could be a few things with that, with it being ESL and stuff like that. But then I wonder if in Chinese, if they are actually just trying to write and trying to think of something new to write, or if it's just very much like rote memorization and then putting that to paper versus maybe some kind of stream of consciousness and just trying to think on the fly and learning to brainstorm and using thinking maps or whatever other tools we may have available to begin to write. So I think my conclusion has been long enough, but I did like this book, and maybe there were other parts to highlight, but I wanted to go on the theme about this book. And thank you very much for your time. Bye.